In a previous one of my videos, I talked about gold and how I thought we could be headed back to the 1550 mark at the top of the move. Now, fortunately, we were actually correct about this move, but I want to take another chance to do some technical analysis on what's going on with gold right now, how I would look to be playing this, and what I think may happen next on this particular pair. So what I'm going to do really quick is I'm going to just roll the clip of me talking a little bit about my ideas with gold. A few days back, we talked about the idea of breaking out of this channel, so we'll go ahead and roll that clip.
Kind of your initial spike, you have a trailing price and then another spike to the upside. Now, what we see playing out right now on gold does look quite familiar. If a period of immense kind of pressure to the upside, then you have a period of kind of consolidation and slowdown. And when you start to see that market rip to the upside again, there might be continued pressure to push that market further. In my opinion, I wouldn't necessarily look to just short this outright, even though that could work out, right? My idea is that this dominant energy of the market is to the upside. My remaining bias on gold is long. It is to the upside.
So now, as we are taking a look at gold, you can see that we did in fact really break to the 1550 level. Now, one thing that I talked about in the last video where I talked about gold is that I thought we could see a pullback in this particular area. I was actually incorrect about that, so I don't want to sit here and say, you know, I was correct, look at me, I'm the perfect trader, because I'm not. And nobody really is, and anybody who tells you that they are the perfect trader is probably not telling you the full truth, because there's no such thing as always getting it correct. So we were correct about the idea, though, about this 200 period simple moving average and price moving bullishly on gold right now. We have seen this trend kind of play out very, very strong in the last several months here on gold, and my idea was that a big break above this particular level could lead to the continued rise back to this 1550 level, which we did just recently hit. We're looking at a daily chart right here. You can see just 2 days ago, we hit that level with flying colors. We really just ripped right up into this area with hardly any pullback whatsoever. Some of the other levels that I had looked at were this level here as potential resistance. You can see we did get a doji there, but initially we saw some hesitation before price, with all this strength that's been coming in fundamentally as well as technically, we saw that breakthrough right away, and price continued to rise up to that 1550 level, as we had talked about with the bullish bias that I have on this particular pair. Now, the question is, though, is not what happened yesterday, but let's talk about what could we see happening next on gold. And what I'm going to talk about today is my idea with this particular pair. As always, I don't want you guys to take this as financial advice. This is purely my own analysis, and I'm sharing my ideas here on YouTube for you to hopefully, get some sort of educational or entertainment value out of. But with gold, I do have some ideas where we could see this market move, but I want to actually take a look. I think it's important that we consider the weekly chart. Now, a lot of times people don't like to look at the weekly chart because it's too slow and not exciting, and people want to be in and out of the market making a lot of money all the time. Well, some of the best moves, in my opinion, come from that weekly chart. You can see how bullish this market has been by looking at the weekly chart. You can see gold has just made a series of impulsive moves, corrections, impulsive moves, corrections, impulsive moves, right? And some might say we're going to see correction next. Well, that could certainly be the case, but take a look really quick. I just want it just from a purely an observational kind of thesis here. Notice that we have these kind of multi-week runs on gold. This time frame is pretty similar in the last 2 runs. So if the pattern continues, what could we expect from gold? If the pattern continues, we could probably still see some movement to the upside here on gold. Now, my idea here with that being, we just broke through a major level of resistance, and watching this weekly bar is what's going to be interesting to me. This particular weekly bar is really what I wanted to get to on this particular move. If we close like this, right? If we decide, if price pulls back and we close, with what would this be called? This would be called a bearish pin bar, okay? If we close with some sort of bearish pin bar, which looks like, it may have the potential to pull back further, that actually could be a bearish thing. And although price did in fact break out on the daily chart, if we hold some sort of bearish pin bar on a weekly, to me, it's not out of the question that we would see a pullback. In fact, that would be my bias tilt, is if we saw a bearish pin bar print on the weekly chart, that could be what we see happen next. However, on the contrary, if we see this bar close with a lot of bullish strength, my idea here is that we would potentially see continuation of this move as we have seen in these impulsive moves historically on gold. And it's not even just on the upside. You can see here was a time when the trend was pushing downwards. Look at that time frame, look at that time frame, look at this time frame, right? When we have these impulsive moves, it seems like on gold there's a pattern here, and that the time frame of these pushes is similar each time, right? Let's just get a rough guesstimate how many weeks this is, okay? Let's say that's 18 bars, so 18 weeks, and you can see if we started here, how many is this? Well, that's just 20 bars, right? Very similar, right around that 20 mark. Let's see how long this period was. This one was about 16 bars. So it looks like, in conjunction with the pattern, in the pattern that we have been seeing with gold, we've been seeing these 15 to 20 week trends, okay? 20 weeks is a long time, right? A lot of times people get caught up, and I know a lot of people in even some of my VIP members inside of the community where we're chatting and talking about the markets. I know a lot of people in there have struggled with gold because they've been trying to short a market when it's rising and sell or buy a market when it's on the dip, right? And that certainly can work sometimes, but I do always when I talk about gold, I'm very careful about it because gold is one of those things that can trend for quite a bit of time. And 15 to 20 weeks is a lot longer time frame than what a lot of traders are looking at when it comes to the markets, right? So a lot of times people aren't looking at 20 weeks of trend to identify movements, okay? So when we have a move like this, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in. To me, it's like, people might be saying, oh, it's time to short gold, it's too high. Well, to me, I would actually be saying, well, let's hold off here, and maybe, in fact, in my bias, I would be more likely to want to buy gold on a significant dip or at a good particular level, a level of demand, that sort of thing, rather than trying to just short the movement as it starts to happen, right? Because take a look, gold, we can see the pattern, we can recognize it with our eyes. It's been moving in a series of 15 to 20 week trends. That's a long time, again. So as we get going here, my bias is not to necessarily short gold unless we see a significant reason to do so. How would we identify a significant reason? Well, to me, something like a significant sign of reversal. For example, a short-term one would be right here, right? What do you have right there? You have a very nice bearish engulfing and a lower high, right? There's your high, here's your lower high, right? Maybe that was a scenario where on the shorter time frames, you could have traded some of the downside there on gold. And similar, take a look right here. What do we see right at the top of this move? I'll draw it out on the left here. We see a bearish pin bar that turned into a downtrend that was for multiple weeks, right? So there are ways to fight a trend, but you have to be, in my opinion, very, very careful, especially when you're talking about trading gold. Gold is one of those things. People get caught up trying to fight the trend all the time on gold, and it can be very dangerous because gold trends very, very strongly, or it's very volatile and moves a tremendous amount, and people, even with small position sizes, you can get in trouble if you're not careful. So make sure, guys, if you are looking to trade gold, as always, do your own due diligence, do your own analysis, and have a plan. If you're trading gold and your only strategy is to bet on which way it's going without any sort of a plan or come up with some sort of strategy to approach it with, I would say don't trade. That's my personal opinion. If you don't have a strategy, I don't know why you would be trading in the first place. I know that I made that mistake when I was a new trader. I was just saying, from here, gold is going down, right? And then gold would fly higher, and then I'd be sitting there with a really painful situation. I'd be like, well, what do I do now? I have no strategy. I have no idea what I'm doing. And that was the moment for me when I lost some money. I was like, you know what? I have no strategy. What am I doing? Let me take this back to the drawing board, come up with a strategy, come up with a concept, and actually trade it effectively. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you get something out of this video. And if you did, make sure to subscribe down below and give this video a thumbs up. It helps to grow the channel and share this sort of stuff with more people. So have a great rest of your day.